I just said this week to somebody, looked at me like I was crazy, and I said, some of your low self-esteem and your lack of confidence is actually an ego issue that you have. And the person stared back at me like, how in the world is someone with low confidence or low self-esteem struggling from an ego issue? And I don't know that I articulated it well enough, although it's in one of the podcasts that I've released, one of my solo podcasts, but you articulate it right on. So talk about that for a second.
Yeah, so it's an interesting concept, and it's talked about in the Bhagavad Gita, another monk text. And in the book, it talks about how like ego is demonstrated in two ways. So ego is either I am the best in the world and I think I'm better than everyone, or ego says you're the worst in the world. You're the worst than everyone. You're much worse than everyone. Or you say my life is the best and the greatest. My life is the worst, right? My life is far worse than anyone else. So the ego likes to push you to the extreme. It doesn't like to give you balance and honesty and reality. It wants to make you feel like you've got the worst life in the world and no one else understands it. No one gets that. Only you get it and you get the worst. Or you're the best and no one else gets you. You're untouchable. And people miss that. Yes. They're like, how does that make sense? Exactly like you said. But it does make sense because the ego wants to be the top or the bottom, but the top of the bottom.
Yes.
It doesn't just want to be at the bottom.
It wants to be the bottom of the bottom.
Yeah, it's got to be the bottom of the bottom of the bottom, but the top of the bottom, right?
Very
you know
well
what I mean?
said.
Yeah, and so we get lost in that and we don't think of it as ego.
Yeah.
And that's why the only antidote to either ego is self-honesty, is being honest. And honesty is, I'm good at these things, I'm great at these things, and I suck at these things, right? Like that's honesty. And we could all sit down, me and you could sit down with a list of our skills and map out what we were great at, what we were average at, and what we knew we were terrible at.
Yes.
And that's honesty. That keeps you so away from either ego.
Do you think part of it too is that when you're suffering from my life is the worst, that you're focusing on you and you're centering on you, and there's an ego connection to that too, and that this pathway you talked about earlier about getting into the service of other people removes you from you, which begins to remove the ego?
Absolutely. I mean, that's a huge point you just made right there. Like you just dropped some serious, like that's like a, please don't underestimate that point, everyone who's listening. Like the challenge with all self-centeredness is that all you then indulge yourself in is your own pain.
Well, very good.
Right? You just indulge, you just submerge and like immerse yourself in pain because it's all about you. And I think Gandhi said it best, is that you find yourself when you lose yourself in the service of others. And what I love about that statement is that what he means by that is, and empaths get this mixed up sometimes, so I want to clarify, because a lot of people who are empaths who are listening are like, Jay, I'm always trying to help people, but then I get screwed over. So here's the answer. You're not helping people so that they can thank you. You're not helping people so that they can be grateful to you. You're helping people because you know it's the right thing to do, but more importantly, you're helping people because you get to understand and experiment and experience different parts of yourself. When I helped kids growing up in India that didn't have food and we were giving them free food, I learned so much about myself. When I was able to go and give talks that help people, or now I make videos or podcasts, you learn more about yourself when you help people. You don't learn anything about yourself when you're just sitting there filling out a quiz going, who am I? What am I? Like you don't figure, but you learn about yourself when you help people. And this is what we don't realize. I can't remember who said it recently. It was someone saying about Jeff Bezos, but they were saying that, the scale at which you succeed is the depth of the problem you solve. And so even if you look at someone like Jeff Bezos, who's extremely successful, he's successful because he solved a problem that many people have. Bill Gates is successful because he solved a problem. So even if you look at monetary success, even if you look at financial success, it comes from service. Any success comes from service. A musician is famous because they're serving. They're serving you by understanding your feelings, making music. You now feel comforted, so you follow them. They have served you.